Good afternoon, YouTube. I'm Carl King, StanStrength.com. In today's video, I'm going over LiftVault, one of LiftVault's most highly recommended programs when they talk about bodybuilding programs, and I'm going to be putting it through my personal lens and my personal standards of what makes a good bodybuilding program. Like I discussed in another video, proper bodybuilding is just power building in disguise. So when I was looking for other programs to review on this website, I saw like on the bottom that LiftVault wrote that this is the program that one of the two programs that they recommend, the other being the All Pro program. This is the Fierce 5 overview, and I'm going to talk about it today. So this is a 2 times a week program. You have 2 training sessions. I think that's good. 2 times a week is more than manageable for a novice. So if you watch my other videos where I talk about novice programming, consistency is one of the most important variables for a novice lifter to achieve and accomplish. One moment, please. So sorry, my allergies are acting up like crazy. So this is a 7-week program, and it can be repeated indefinitely until beginner gains are exhausted. And it allows for 1 rep max input. So when it comes to beginners and 1 rep maxes, I think it's a very highly overrated variable to, let's say, manipulate or use in a program. Reason being, their 1 rep max is going to increase very quickly. Not because they've gotten stronger, it's because they're learning how to lift. When you get stronger, it's not just you got bigger muscles or anything like that. It's also due to the fact that you're becoming more neuromuscularly efficient. You're becoming more coordinated with a certain movement pattern. So their 1 rep max is getting, they're able to hit new 1 rep maxes because they're just learning how to lift with better form and technique, and that allows them to lift more weight. So when it comes to using a 1 rep max and inputting it into a program to decide your actual weights, I kind of don't like that. I kind of prefer a more auto-regulated approach where they go to a 5 rep max, and let's say on week 1 you do 1 set of a 5 rep max, then on week 2 you go use that same weight and then you do 2 sets with it, and then on the 3rd week you do 3 sets with that weight, and then you restart that process. On week 1, 5 rep max. Week 2, you do 2 sets of the weight you did in week 1, and then you kind of go from there. I think that volumized approach is more appropriate for beginners. It allows them to get more high quality touches, allows them to build up their base more than just arbitrarily using a 1 rep max. So squat, bench, and deadlift are performed on workout A. Front squat, overhead press, and Romanian deadlift are performed on workout B. I like that workout selection. You have a knee flexion here, a press over here, and a hinge. Very important movement patterns. Accessories include rows, face pulls, calf raises, tricep pushdowns, lat pull downs, and curls. That's great too. Too many novice programs tell novices to not even focus on accessories, and I think that's bullshit. I think that's the most horrible advice ever to give any novice. Do some goddamn accessories. Let's see. The Fierce 5 is a good program for the beginner lifter that primarily has aesthetic goals, i.e. wants to improve body composition. It is not recommended as a strength program, although you will get stronger, or a powerlifting program, although you will improve your squat, bench, and deadlift. And this is why I say proper bodybuilding is strength training or power building in disguise. Size and strength have more of a, let's say, they do have there's an overlap, there's a relationship between the two, but it's not an equation or equalative relationship between the two. Size does not equal strength, and strength does not equal size. They're 2 variables that feed into one another. The bigger you are, the stronger you can get. The stronger you are, the bigger you can get. But they're not one and the same. Now, hypertrophy will occur, which is like muscle size, is going to occur in all rep ranges, 1 to 30, right? At least that's a reasonable rep range. But maximizing either one, the way you maximize either one is going to vary from one another. So, and the way they express themselves is going to be very different. Even though hypertrophy is occurring, let's say the magnitude of hypertrophy is going to vary between size-focused training and strength training. But for a novice, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. You need to get stronger. And well, you just need to get stronger regardless of how you train. So let's see, let's go over the actual program. I just realized I already have the tab open. So Fierce 5 novice program balanced volume. I don't know what they mean by that. So let's go over workout A. You start out with the squat. Great way to start out the program. You're starting out with a heavy compound movement. But one issue that I'm already seeing is the fact that the progression is literally just add 10 pounds each week. To me, this doesn't really set itself apart from starting strength or any other let's say cult-like novice program. So This, in my opinion, is suboptimal for novices. Reason being, think about this. He's going from 115 for 3 sets of 5 to 175. And look, like you put in your 1 rep max, or let me see, like where is the 1 rep max calculator in this? Like, oh, sorry. Let's see, like where is the 1 rep max calculator in this? Like starting weights. Yeah, like you're like you're not even putting in like a 1 rep max and then it puts in a calculation for you. You're just literally putting in a weight and then it tells you to do that 5 times. That's horrible programming for a novice. For mostly the reasons that I stated, but also just because the progression is so unrealistic. After training multiple novices and more novices in person and seeing how their rate of strength progresses, this is very unreasonable. Some will progress really fast and they will progress like with the way it's written, but some won't. And then what are they going to do? It needs to be written out. Like if you can't do 3 sets of 5, repeat the previous week or repeat the week until you can, and kind of just like keep pushing up against that wall or that limit, and then you break through it eventually. Like that's one option, but I don't see that here. Let's see. And then they deload. Like I just realized this, but so I guess like you deload after 8 weeks, but I mean as a novice, like for one, how far realistically is a novice going to get in 8 weeks? Not very far. So the necessity for a novice to deload is very, very low. So let's start there. So yeah, like I'm not really the biggest fan of this progression. And also like load progression is, in my opinion, one of the worst ways to progress for a novice anyway. It doesn't teach them how to progress beyond just load. They need to learn other ways, so how to and that's really important. So I like the exercise selection so far, and just like taking a quick glance at it, but I'm not the biggest fan of its actual progression. So let's see. Bench press, 3 sets of 5. Pen lay row, 3 sets of 8. I like that you're doing more rows than you are benching, which is good. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio, even though you're using the same weights. So, I mean, if you can do that, perfect. But yeah, like I do hold true to the idea that your row should be as equally strong to your bench press as possible, and that's easy, and that's most easily done when you're in the beginner phase because both of your lifts are just inherently small or inherently light. Face pulls, calf raises, and tricep pushdowns. That's okay. Let's see. I mean, I personally would do I would just do this all as a superset, but I would do like face pulls, then tricep press downs because you're probably using the same implement, and then go over and do calf raises, and that would make it a bit better. But honestly, like, now this just might be me, but I think novices honestly could get away with doing calf raises after their squats. I mean, you already are set up in that area. So for me personally, like I'm like the laziest productive person you might ever meet. And I mean, like you can even debate that because my room is kind of a mess right now and I'm kind of a mess right now. But like you're doing calf raises, are you doing it on a machine? Are you doing it, or are you doing it with a barbell on your back? If you're doing it with a barbell on your back, why not just do it after your squats? Like do a set of squats, rest, do a set of or do a set of squats, then rest, do a set of calf raises, rest, or just do a set of squats, calf raises after, then you go into your bench press and your row, then face pulls and tricep pushdown. That way you're saving time in the setup, you know? Like you're not having to go back and forth between different pieces of equipment and set them up to do a different exercise. Just do it that way. Like just be efficient in your training. Like you don't got all day. Like at least you shouldn't have all day. And if you are there all day, you're doing it wrong. Let's go to workout B. Front squat, 3 sets of 5, and then same thing, just adding 10 pounds each week, sub-maximal, suboptimal, because I think there are better ways for novices to improve, and I think the best way for novices to improve isn't strength, especially if it's a bodybuilding program. Like why is load and intensity being the best way to improve in strength, or why is strength the best way to improve in size? Improve in volume. Like go to a 5, like do what I kind of just like came up with the top of my head, which is go to a 5 rep max on week 1, then do 2 sets of that 5 rep max on week 2, then 2 sets of that 5 rep max on week 3, and then repeat that process. You go back down to, then you try to hit a new 5 rep max. Hopefully it got stronger because now you're able to, you did way more practice with that weight. and you accumulated way more volume. So hopefully your 5 rep max is now higher, and then you can go from there. Let's see. Sorry, my allergies are like messing me up. I'm so sorry. Romanian deadlifts. So as far as exercise selection go, I really like this. The biggest issue that I have with this program isn't the exercise selection at all. Maybe it's the way that they're ordered that could be improved. But generally speaking, it's just the progression. Like, if this is a bodybuilding program for novices, like, why is load the only thing that progresses, not sets and reps, when we know that there's a dose relationship with volume? Generally speaking, as far as like the literature and science has like gone as far to say, is that the more volume you do, the more size you'll get. So why is load and intensity the main focus of progression? That doesn't make sense to me personally. However, I do like that it's just 2 times a week. But like I covered already, like 3 times a week is already a small enough adjustment to someone's lifestyle that it's still possible. If they can't do 3 times a week, I will drop it down to 2, but I prefer to start them at 3, so that way there is an opportunity to move downward if they need to, or move upward if they can. But 2 is fine, so 2 times a week is fine, and you can definitely make great gains on 2 times a week workouts. I've done it in the past. But generally speaking, for novices, I want to try to start them out at 3 days a week, just so that way they can see that they can build up that habit. But if they do need to drop it down to 2, that's fine. Exercise selection, great, but the way it's progressed is just, for one, I can't really say too much about it besides what I already have, just because it's applied to literally everything. You just add weight, like for upper body movements, you add 5 pounds. For lower body movements, you add 10 pounds, and you do that week to week to week. It doesn't really address any nuances of what happens when they fail, because they will. Like, if I were to ask a client to do this, they probably wouldn't be able to. Like, and I mean like a straight up novice, like just training, just seeing how they've been able to progress and how they've been able to progress on programs I've written for them. This just seems unreasonable to me. They're going to reach a wall pretty quickly just because they're constantly adding weight when their technique hasn't really caught up yet. So that's why when it comes to progression, load is the worst one for novices. At least that's my initial impression with this. I mean, we'll see, but I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm not saying that this is like the devil or impossible. Like it's possible for some, and it's definitely going to be possible for someone who just naturally sandbags, or just progresses really fast, or has sandbagged when they put in their weights. So in those situations, it's possible. But like I said, for novices, I prefer a more volumized and auto-regulated approach under the supervision and guidance of someone who actually knows what they're doing. And that might already be an issue, which is why that's why I created this channel. That's why I create my own novice programs. And one thing I will do is I actually do want to kind of like take this program and modify it with what I think would be a much better progression for each exercise, and how to kind of set up the order of exercises so that way it's as effective and efficient as possible, so novices can get in and get out. Because like it's already like stressful enough for them to be in there because they're already so insecure thinking everyone's watching them when really no one really is. So yeah, this program, I want to give it a D, to be honest with you, just because like, look, like almost everything is right here. So it's really just banking on this. But the exercise selection is great. 2 times a week, great starting point. But as far as like the actual progression and what you're getting out of this program, I think there's so much left to be desired. So I think D is fair because the only saving grace it has is the exercise selection. Let's look at the sets and reps. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 14, 16. So 32 total reps, 32 total sets per week. That's fair for a novice. So the set and rep selection isn't horrible, but I don't think that's enough of a redeeming factor when literally all you're telling a novice to do is add weight. And they need more than that. It's about the quality of their practice. It's about the consistency of week to week. Like, so when it comes down to training my clients, I try to make sure that when they set that goal of 3 times a week, I'm like, did you go 3 times a week on this week? I'll check up on them and be like, hey, like, did you work out today? Did you work out today? Because like, unless they're able to hit that consistency, it doesn't really matter. 2 times a week, there's less of a risk of that, but you know, still possible. But yeah, like, everything's a 3 sets of 5, and that's fine. That's 15 total reps. Like 5x5 has a history as being a bodybuilding protocol rather than a strength training protocol. So the fact that it doesn't go below 5 is fine, because 5 and 6 are really like 5 reps and 6 reps are like that perfect overlap between strength and size. So that being the lowest amount is fine. An evolving rep range, not always necessary, but I would at least have liked to seen, like, so if you do a straight weight, straight set progression, always include something for that last set. So like, let's say 2 sets of 5, and then on that last set, either add weight or do an AMRAP, or after you do 3 sets of 5, do some type of drop set where you just kind of push the intensiveness a bit. I think that's appropriate for novices, because it adds more tools to their toolbox and will get them further than just adding weight all the time. They need practice, they need consistency, and just adding weight doesn't get them there, because then what are they going to focus on? Adding weight. They're not going to focus on the technique. They're not going to focus on like actually getting better at a movement. They're only going to focus on getting stronger at it, and then you kind of set them up to fail in the long term with this type of programming. So yeah, I'm going to modify this program. I'm going to this program has inspired me to take this and make it better. So yeah, this ain't it, Chief. This is a D. That's it for this video. I'm CrossFitKing, StanceTraining.com. There's new merchandise on my website. There's also a free intermediate program. I know I just did a novice program review, but if you are, let's say, an intermediate, or you know someone who's an intermediate, let them know that there's a free program on my website. It's what I'm personally running right now. And yeah, I hope you liked the video. Please like, comment, subscribe if there's any programs that you want me to review. But this is not how to program for novices. Novices need more than this, or deserve more than this, like beyond that. So that's it for this video today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.